Hello Boxheaders, welcome to the next instruction video for our cricket paper toy character. You can see there I've already done the body, and well, I've got some little caps that are in a different instruction video as well, that you can see how they fit on your little paper toy character. Two caps in the craft activity pack, but we've got a helmet as well that we can. A helmet and a cricket bat is on this sheet of the cricket paper toy craft activity. That's what we're going to be going through in this video step by step. So we've just got the bat, and we've also got parts to the front of the helmet, the grill, those three rectangular bits there. Then I've just started to cut out. We're going to cut that out first, along with the cricket bat, and then that'll make it easier for when we're cutting out the majority of the cricket helmet. As always, we're keeping our scissors nice and straight. I'm using our non-cutting hand to move the paper around the scissors. Like I say, we'll cut into and take out the cricket bat part as well. And keeping those scissors nice and straight, and bending them a little bit, I suppose, around the tricky curve there. I can take my scissors out and then move them back in once I've turned the paper around a bit, to make it a little bit easier to get around that little tab that we've got there. I don't think that you have to keep your scissors sort of stuck in the paper, especially with a bit like that where it's quite tricky. You can sort of like take the scissors out and readjust your paper and readjust your scissors and continue cutting from there. But for now, we've managed to cut the bat part, the bat element, away from our sheet, and now we can concentrate completely on the helmet. So I've got some tricky parts around those tabs and into the sort of like where the top of the helmet meets the side there. So take your time, some good cutting action there to move the paper around the scissors. Like so. Snip. There we go, keep a nice tidy crafting space as well. And this is sort of around the back of the helmet, around the back and the base of the helmet there. This little yellow bit that I'm cutting out there now, that just gives the helmet, that tucks inside of the helmet actually, just gives it a little bit more structure. Just makes the helmet sort of like sit a little bit better on your cricket player's head. Now I've got a little bit of tricky cutting coming here. We go around and then in and up and then down. So you've got that other yellow bit as well. That's still, we're not going to cut that completely off the helmet. That sort of folds in and underneath the helmet visor. And if you follow sort of like the way that I'm cutting this, then it'll become obvious. So we're sort of inside the sort of the side of the helmet there, where the side of the face will be. And we cut round there and we stop, and then we can take our scissors all the way out, and that white sort of square with rounded corners, we can cut that out and leave that to one side, and you can see how that yellow bit there, that's actually going to stay connected sort of the top of that side part. See, I've taken the scissors out there and I'll make that cut there that little bit easier. And then back around and into sort of like the top and side of the helmet. Going in there, take the scissors out, turn the paper all the way around, and then put your scissors back in for your next cut. Makes things a lot easier. Even with just little cuts like that, I've taken the scissors all the way out, and then just a little cut to get that little bit out there as well. And so that's one side done. We'll do the same on the other side. So if you're pretty confident, I guess you can sort of fast forward the video a little bit and do the other side on your own. Or if you're still sort of like a little bit unsure, then keep cutting along with this video. And if it gets too quick, then pause the video and sort of catch up with a little bit of cutting, a little bit of crafting, and then restart the video when you're ready. So I've not pulled all the scissors all the way out there, but I have moved the paper around without having to move the scissors out of there. But yeah, snip any bits of paper off as you're going along that'll sort of make things easier so they won't get in the way. So again, remember with this bit, we're going to cut into, from here, we're going to cut into the side of the helmet. Sort of part of the visor, I guess, the visor area of the helmet. We'll cut in, still moving around there. Take our scissors out, move the paper around, and then we can keep going with those nice straight scissors and those straight cuts. And around the bottom of the helmet, and again that long yellow bit, that's going to tuck into the inside, and as I said before, it gives the helmet a bit more structure and just a little bit more sort of decoration and detail, I guess. You sort of like see a little bit of that one even when the helmet's on the head of your paper toy. And nice steady hand to cut those curves, and there we go. It's taken about five or 6 minutes to cut the helmet out. But remember, it's not a race. You take your time, take as long as you need. I'm going straight into the folding here. I've got some little tabs that'll help us stick the helmet to the top, and there's those yellow bits that are going to sort of tuck on the inside. There's obviously different coloured Cricut paper toys, but the instructions are exactly the same, whatever colour Cricut paper toy that you get. Now you can see there, I'm just pointing out that there's some fold lines there for the sort of tricky visor part. Again, that's going to sort of like tuck in on the inside. We've got a tab there that's going to stick to the end of the helmet. See, I've just moved it in there, and see how the sort of like the top part is going to bend over. There's our inside part. You might not be sort of like following what I'm saying. My words aren't describing exactly what you're seeing probably. So yeah, look at the pictures maybe more than listen to the words. Just make all the folds where the dotted lines are, and then when it comes to sticking the paper toy together, it'll start to make a bit more sense. So just a couple more folds to make and some tabs that are just going to help us stick the helmet together. And first bit of sticking with my trusty handy dandy tape dispenser. It's going to be those inside sort of detailed parts to the paper toy. So we've got one to stick to the very inside of it, and then one just round sort of, I guess it's round the chin, the chin area of the paper toy. And then we can see sort of like those tabs are going to sort of slot into the inside as well as we curve the back of the paper or the helmet around to the back there. Got another tab that I'm holding on the inside. A little bit more tape there, and a bit more tape to that last tab at the bottom that sticks the back to the back of the back and bottom of the helmet to the jaw. Okay, now round to the front. Now this might look a bit tricky and a bit fiddly, but you'll see how the front of the sort of like the front of the top of the helmet comes around and meets that the yellow part there, and it takes a bit of fiddling to sort of match that up. But once you've got it lined up, fold your tape around. You can see there's a little tab in there as well, just to line things up and make the helmet a little bit more secure. And then we can see that yellow bit might be a different colour depending on your paper toy, but that sort of rectangle tucks in and is like I guess it's like a sort of it's part of the inside of the helmet, like a visor, if you like. Sort of it matches onto the forehead of the paper toy head. Going on the other side of the paper toy now, so the other, just like the side that we did before, but on the other part of the paper toy. So folding that round and sticking the bottom base part of the helmet, sticking that in there, and that gives us a nice sort of curve to the back of the helmet. Oops, I didn't stick the inside part of the helmet down, but we can nip back and we can do that. It's a little bit trickier to see what's going on, but we can still get our fingers in there and stick that down. That's sort of the jaw of the helmet. Stick those down and around. And then the other side, the other side to the front of the helmet. So line those tabs up so that the paper follows the side curve of the helmet. A little bit of tape on there and a little bit more tape to the front there too. And then we're going to bend the other side of that, and that should meet right in the middle. Should be nice and flush. Shouldn't overlap. It should sit snugly inside there. A little bit of tape on there, and there we have sort of like the basic frame of the helmet that the head can slot into. So if you've done the paper toy head with the ponytail, that needs to slot around the back, and then you can see there how the head slots in nicely. And it's got that yellow visor underneath you just caught a quick glimpse of, and that keeps the head sort of nicely nicely slotted in there. Makes it a little bit tricky to pull out of the helmet, but that's good. It'll keep the helmet on reasonably well. But let's get back to, we'll put some finishing touches to the helmet. We've got these long rectangular parts that are actually going to make the grille of the helmet. So there's actually 3 of these. We've got cut lines that go down these rectangles, 3 rectangles, and we're going to fold each of those rectangles in half again because we've got some dotted lines to make folds. So you can see we've got the Boxhead Papercrafts logo there, and then the fold line. Just pinch it in the middle, and then you can work your way along those lines as well. Now we want these creases fairly tight, because what's going to happen is, well, we're going to stick it together first, so that sort of gets rid of any of the white paper, so that because we're going to be able to see the front and the back, and then it's going to bend round our helmet like so. So I'm putting little bits of tape on either end of this grille part, and we'll be doing the same with the other parts as well. We see that one part of it, we're going to have 1, 2, 3. That's where the 3 parts are going to go. But you're going to see how we're going to stick this first part onto the jewel of the helmet. And I've just got a little bit of tape that I need to snip off there, like so. And that's going to, that bit of the grille is going to bend round and stick on the exact same position on the other side of the helmet. So a little bit of tape there. We can take it off. We can stick the tape to part of the tape to the end of the grille. We'll loop it back around again, and again there, stick it to the jaw of the helmet. And just sort of squish and bend it round a little bit. You can see it's a little bit sort of not quite as rounded, but we've got it on the helmet for now. We'll do the other parts of the grille for the helmet just the same. So we make that long fold down the middle so that we've got colour and detail on both sides of this grille part. And we'll stick it on either end so that we've got no white paper, it's just the colour and detail to the grille. Stick it together on either end like so. And I mean, I guess you can sort of stick these sort of like grille parts wherever you want, but I think it looks, the way that I've designed it is so that you have them in this particular order. So we've got a straight one there, and then this one I'm actually going to set it at a little angle, not a huge angle, just a little angle to that one, so that when it loops round, it's sort of like the grille is sort of like, the grille on the helmet is like a protector for the face, isn't it? So that part is going to protect the chin of your little cricket player from those ferocious paper balls that'll get pelted at it. But yeah, it just adds a nice little bit of detail and another dimension to your helmet, I suppose. And then the same with this last one as well. I guess this last one is maybe sort of not necessary, but it does add a nice little bit of detail to, I'm going to put this one on the top visor part of the helmet. So again, just folding it in half and sticking it down at either end. And another bit there, so we've got sort of, like I say, all the colour and detail is at the front and the back. All the white stuff's gone, and then we can just, I'm going to stick it, see, to the top part of the helmet here. So a little bit of tape on the end there. Get your hand inside the helmet, and then just stick the end bit. Doesn't have to be the very sort of the very tip of the grill part. It can overlap onto the helmet a little bit, makes it a little bit more secure when you stick it down. We'll bend that over, bend that around, stick it to the opposite side. And then we can just sort of press and squish that paper together to give us a bit more of a rounded grill. Here we go. You can see with the paper toy with the shorter hair, we've got to flatten down the hair a little bit before we squish it in. But he fits in there too, and then it all fits onto the body as well. So you can sort of change him out of his cricket caps when he's ready to go into bat. You can see it all fits on nicely. You can stick it down as well if you want. You can stick the paper toy head down to the body, and you can still get the helmet on and off as well. Anyway, we've still got our bat to do. Our bat to finish off from that from the sheet. This paper crafting cricket sheet that we've got. The bat's fairly straightforward. The handle's maybe a little bit tricky. It's got a few tricky cuts. Just going in there. Make sure you don't go too far into the handle. And there's also a couple of little gaps on the bat as well. Just pointing out another sort of like tricky cut that you've got to make. There's a couple of little gaps in the bat that you'll notice when we come to stick it together. But I don't think it takes too much away from the sort of like the overall feel of the bat. You still get a good bat shape with a bat handle and what have you. So just trimming off those inner bits around the handle. The handle sort of comes in two parts, and then once you start to fold it, it comes back together again as one single handle. But even with these small bits, make the paper move around the scissors. Make it nice and smooth. Those cuts nice and smooth. And there's the toe end of the bat that's going to fold underneath and tuck inside the body of the bat. Scissors down, move our rubbish to one side, and then we can start to make those folds. Bring it up a bit closer to the camera. And just like all the other folds, just bend in the paper around those dotted lines, and when we're happy, we can pinch the paper along those dotted lines to make a nice little crease. So those are the longest folds. Got a couple of folds to make at the toe of the bat. Got a tab that tucks in onto the inside of the bat, and then we've got a few fiddly little folds with the bat handle here. So one there, and then this tab that we're folding, that's going to tuck into the inside of the bat handle. Same with that one as well. One more fold to make. Like that, and then when you sort of bend all your folds around, you'll start to see that those bits tuck inside each other, and then it's the same for the handle as well. Let's get the body of the bat stuck together first of all. line that up nicely, and then just bend the sellotape around to stick together. Tuck that tab inside for the toe of the bat. Just a little bit of tape, that toe end that we'll tuck in, fold our tape round, and then we're ready for the handle of the bat. And you can see how those two sides now start to come together to make the one single handle. And you can also just about see, got a couple of little holes in the bat at the top shoulders of the bat there, but if I'd left a bit of paper to sort of like fill those gaps, it would have got really tricky and really fiddly to make those cut some folds and what have you. But now we've got our cricket bat and helmet. Happy crafting!